Hello and welcome to Bahrain Now, your source of local initiatives, happenings, talents, and trends. I'm your host, Khalid Hijris, here to walk you through our exciting lineup of segments and personalities from around Bahrain. So don't go away, we'll be right back. A major new systematic review led by Bahrain-based researchers is shedding light on promising advances that could transform the future of autism care. Published in the World Journal of Clinical Pediatrics, the study examined a wide range of established and emerging therapies, offering new insights into how symptoms can be managed and how future treatments may be developed. Joining us today to discuss these groundbreaking findings and what they could mean for children and families around the world is Professor Mohammed El-Biltaji, pediatric consultant, researcher, and one of the lead authors of this important review. Welcome, how are you doing today, Doctor?
I am fine, thank you very much. Thank you so much for having me in the show, giving me the chance to exchange some of the experience with you, your audience and listener, and of course with the families. Thank you very much.
Absolutely, and we'd like to thank you so much for what you do and for joining us today. Now, to start with, your review highlights a shift towards precision medicine in autism care. What exactly does precision medicine mean for children with autism spectrum disorder and their families?
Let us to discuss first what means precision medicine, then we'll apply to the autism. The precision medicine, from the word precise, means accurate, means meticulous, means that we are targeting the proper treatment for the proper patient in the proper dose in the proper time. This means the precision medicine. And it depends on targeting the specific medication to treat the specific mechanism of the disease. So some diseases, for example, autism, which is a huge spectrum, it's called autism spectrum disorder. It's not one disease, and the picture of the autism is different from a child to another. And every child with autism is unique, has different background of genetic background, immunity background, microbiota background. So every child with autism is different from the other child. What can fit one child will not fit the other. Therefore, some of the medication can benefit some of the children with autism, while it doesn't fit for the other kids, or even may produce some side effect. So precision medicine for autism is targeting a specific treatment with a specific mechanism to treat a specific underlying mechanism in specific type of children with autism in the proper time, in the proper dose. This is the meaning of precision medicine, targeting autism.
Thank you so much for that answer. And now the review also concludes that there's still no definitive treatment for autism's core social and communication challenges. Why has finding a treatment for that been so difficult?
Let us to correct the question. There is no medication targeting autism, but there is some management of autism which can cure the underlying behavior problem, the language problem, which is actually the basic management line for autism, which is education, which is the behavior therapy, the play therapy, the psychotherapy, the speech therapy, or are targeting the core symptoms of autism. So we have core symptoms for autism, which mean the pure symptoms, which is the communication problem, the language problem, which is targeting by a different line of treatment, which is the speech therapy, behavior therapy, occupational therapy, educational therapy, and so on. But I'm talking about the medication. So there is no medication can cure the autism. And actually, the reason behind our research is because a lot of the social media and a lot of the studies or some of the researchers, they give their research high level of expectation and make the patient to expect a lot from their work, and actually this can produce a lot of misuse or abuse for the patient who are suffering from autism. Therefore, we conducted this study to make an evidence base for the different type of medication that are used or targeting the children with autism. Okay, why it is difficult? Because, you know, like just I mentioned before, that autism is not a one disease, it is a spectrum disease with different underlying genetic profile, different underlying immune profile, different mechanisms that can target together. in addition to the role of the environment that play a very significant factor in increasing the severity of autism or alleviating the severity of autism. Therefore, this is the main aim of our work is to make the point on the letters and to make an evidence base for every type of medication that can be used to treat autism. So we cover a huge spectrum of medication and giving them ranking according to the level of evidence. As you know, that the high level, for example, say it take 1, the low level it takes 6, and some of the medication we did a meta-analysis for it, which is the highest rank of evidence-based medicine. Therefore, it makes clear for each category of medication, is it can be recommended or less likely to be recommended. And we actually moving to a different type of management, which is called precision medicine, which means they give the proper treatment for the proper child who need it actually.
And which medications showed potential benefits in children with autism?
There is actually the atypical antipsychotic medication, which is well known to be used for treatment of schizophrenia. Two types of medication from the same group is called risperidone, or what is known as risperdal, which is very, very commonly used for to treat aggressive behavior or abnormal behavior in children with autism. And the one from the same category, which is aripiprazole, which is nearly the same, but it has less side effect regarding to the weight gain and the other endocrinal problem. These two medications, despite being very effective in treatment of the behavior-related disorder, it doesn't treat the core symptom of the autism. It relates only the associated symptoms for the abnormal behavior. Some children may have abnormal behavior for any reason, like irritability, agitation, aggressive behavior, repetitive behavior, exaggerated tantrum. So they are targeting the associated symptoms of autism, not the core symptoms of autism. It doesn't cure autism. It treats the associated symptoms.
Absolutely, and it's great that you're making that distinction as well. And I understand that it looks different in each individual case as well. Now, my question is as well, leading on to that, is that many children with autism also have, like, for example, ADHD. As you said, it's like a spectrum, so it tends to encompass a lot of other comorbidities. How effective are medications such as, for example, like methylphenidate in managing the overlapping symptoms?
The very good question. Thank you for it. Actually, autism, or children who have autism are more liable to have other associated comorbidities. These comorbidities could be some neurological problem, some psychological problem, including attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, which is a little bit more common in the children with autism than the typically developed children. And using this medication like methylphenidate or atomoxetine is very effective in treatment some of the attention deficit or the abnormal behavior related to the attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. They are targeting the symptoms of the ADHD, not the symptom of the autism. And they are effective, but we should know also that because of the genetic differences in the children with autism, they are more liable to have two things. First, the usual dose, it may be toxic or produce side effect than the other typically developed children, or we need to modify the medication. For example, they are more liable for the side effect of methylphenidate. On the other hand, atomoxetine are more liable to, we need more dosing if the children with autism has a specific genetic profile. Therefore, strict monitoring and follow-up of this medication in the children with autism is of utmost importance, and we should do that for every child.
Absolutely, and it's great to see as well that, healthcare providers are taking that into consideration, kind of, managing the side effects potentially in order to reap the most out of the benefits according to their patients' needs. Now, one of the most intriguing aspects of the review has been the focus on the gut-brain connection. Why has the microbiome become such an important area of autism research?
Again, thank you for the question. And I will start with the saying that we have another brain in our gut. Therefore, we usually say that the gut is the second brain and the heart is the third brain. So why they are called the second brain? Because about 90% of the serotonin, which is a very important neurotransmitter, is secreted in the intestine. And part of this serotonin will be secreted or regulated by the gut microbiota. This is not the only rule of the gut microbiota, but also gut microbiota can affect the rate of inflammation and the affecting the gut permeability, especially in presence of what we call gut dysbiosis, which means abnormal profile of gut bacteria inside the patient with otels, which are actually more prone to have this gut dysbiosis. This makes what we call leaky gut syndrome, where the gut can allow escaping of some toxins to circulate in the blood from the intestine into the blood, reaching the brain, negatively affecting the brain, exaggerating the symptoms of the autism. Therefore, modulating the gut microbiota can have a significant effect. And a lot of studies concerning modulation of the gut microbiota can positively affect both the symptoms of the gastrointestinal problem that also is a very common in the children with autism. About 80% of the children with autism have a gastrointestinal problem. And imagine if the child with autism who having abdominal pain and going to the school, how we will learn. So improving this gastrointestinal problem will significantly affect and impact the education of the child, reflecting on the behavior of the child. And some of the abnormal behavior of the child can be related to the gastrointestinal disorder. For example, if the child has abdominal pain, he will not say, I have abdominal pain like the other kids, but he can, for example, tapping his tummy. We can explain that tapping because of the abnormal behavior related to the autism, but actually it is related to the abdominal pain that the child is having. Treating this abdominal pain will relieve the child, relax the brain, the child will go to the school, will have more chance to accept the education, more ability to educate and more ability to learn. Therefore, it will have a positive impact. This is one of the items. The item is huge. We can stay talking about for 24 hours and we will not finish it. But we can summarize it that regulating the gut microbiota will significantly impact the gastrointestinal symptoms as well as the mental function of the child with autism.
Wonderful, thank you for explaining that. I think now a lot more people are becoming more aware of how important gut health is to general health as well. It's connected to many different systems.
Yes.
And I didn't know how, just how significant its effect on the brain and the serotonin as well that you mentioned, which is secreted in the intestines. So it's always really great to have that fact reminded to us, so we kind of like bear that in mind, that everything is kind of holistic. It's all like the body is an ecosystem.
Actually, we usually say you are what you eat, because the gut is responsible for a lot of issues affecting the brain in different way. So, for example, through this secreting of a specific substrate from the bacteria called the short chain fatty acid, which will circulate in the brain and affecting the neurotransmitter formation inside the brain. Or even some of the bacteria can go and affect the brain itself. The brain also can contain bacteria, and this bacteria can affect the brain also. Another way, it can affect the vagus nerve, which actually is the longest nerve in our body from the brain to the gut, and the reverse also from the gut to the brain. So it have by reciprocal mechanism affecting the brain. The brain will affect the gut, and the gut will affect the brain. Therefore, we call the gut-brain axis. This axis, okay, it's not only one way. It is actually like a dialogue, coming and going. So it will affect also the brain, and the brain also can affect the gut. Improving this gut dysbiosis will significantly affect both the gut problem and the brain problem.
Interesting. Thank you so much for illuminating on that matter. Your review also discusses biological markers that may predict treatment responses. What kind of biomarkers are researchers investigating today?
As we mentioned at the beginning, that the autism is a spectrum. And he is one of the very heterogeneous disorder, which means that every child is unique related to his underlying genetic background, immunity background, bacteriobiome, microbiota background, inflammation background. Therefore, there is a lot of biomarker. We can classify this biomarker into genetic, which actually huge, because autism is not one disease, it's not one man show, it's not one gene affected. It's the different type of gene or mini gene giving a very small effect. But at the end, this small effect, when we gather together, it can make the profile of autism together with the environmental factor. Therefore, it is difficult to treat the autism, not like, for example, sickle cell disease, for example, only one gene, we can modify the gene if the problem will be solved. It's not the issue in the autism. Therefore, we have a genetic profile. We have immune profile. For example, some of the children who have antibodies against the folate receptor alpha, this patient can have significant improvement if we give high folate. Therefore, if we know the biological underground, the metabolomic underground, we are targeting the mechanism of the problem. Therefore, we'll give the proper treatment with the proper dose, minimizing the risk of having side effects from other medicine that you usually give for every child with autism. No, now we will are targeting the mechanism. This is one of the profile. Another profile is the metabolomic profile. For example, if the child have a problem in the respiratory chain inside the mitochondria, for called mitochondrial diseases, if you are targeting this mitochondrial disease, it will significantly affect the brain ability to work and to handle the situation. Another profile is the EEG, the electromagnetic encephalogram. Electroencephalogram, this actually can tell that we have abnormal electrical activity in the brain. And you know that maybe some of the normal people may have abnormal electrical activity and they don't have any epilepsy. The same also will be in the children who have autism. They may have more abnormal electrical activity in their brain without having frank seizure. Why this is important? Because the rate of having this abnormal electrical activity will be approximately 10 times than the other typically developed children. And why this is also important? Because every cell who are doing abnormal electrical wave will have time, she needs time to rest. So if she has if the cell have abnormal electrical activity, like a horse who's running too fast, he will become exhausted. And the exhausted cell will not be able to be educated. So actually, we need to make this cell to have a rest. But unfortunately, as a scientist, we have two groups. One group will in the favor of using anti-epileptic to calm this abnormal electrical activity. The other group will say, as long as we don't have frank seizure, no need for it. We're still in debate. We don't have yet a consensus. And maybe this is one of the reasons that we did this review, to make a stone in the building guideline to help both the healthcare professional to take a decision, the families as well as the policymaker. Other important profile that can help to define the patient is the imaging. We have what we call functional MRI. The functional MRI, it can make a picture of the brain, the active part of the brain and the deactive part of the brain, and the area of inflammation, neuroinflammation, and the area that is more liable to be destroyed, actually. Like, for example, the frontal lobe, which is highly affected in the children with autism. Therefore, making this together, it can help us to define the exact underlying pathophysiology that can lead to appearance of the clinical manifestation of the children with autism, and also can help us to take a decision which medication can help this patient in a particular way with this side effect, low dose, without the need for trial and error, exposing the child for unnecessary medication.
Wonderful. I would also just really like to highlight how illuminating this discussion has been, in particular because I think a lot of people, myself included, have a lot of misconceptions about autism. And when we think about it, we think of it more as like in the realm of more like a psychological issue. But you've done a very good job, I think, of really explaining that it is this this really complicated system and how it interacts with the biology of the person as well, and how medication can come into play. So I think that has been an incredible boon of this review, if I might say so myself, is explaining that, especially for someone like me who might not have like the same background as yourself. Mm-hmm. You've discussed it in such a way that I sort of now have a much better grip on the biological factors as well, and I understand that it's something, like you said, that we can kind of like really discuss at length, and it's a very fascinating field. But on that note, I also want to ask you how important it is for international collaboration, because with a field so exhaustive like this one, collaboration obviously plays a key role. Mm. So for example, the partnership between Bahrain and Egypt in the study, in advancing what role do those collaborations play in advancing autism research globally?
Thank you very much actually for this question, but just I want to highlight that as long as autism is a heterogeneous group, you'll find that the patient with autism in Bahrain will be a little bit different from the patient in for example, Egypt or USA, despite the common physiology or mechanism may be common. The highest rank of research is what we call the multi-center. Multi-center study, where we take different parts of the world, take sample from the different parts of the world, and this will reflect actually the real problem, because if you concentrate on only part of the word, this can you give idea about this word, which is also important. But when you have different categories of patient from different parts of the world, you will have the global picture about and give you actually data that can be applied for the different patient all over the world. So for example, if I did a research in Bahrain, I have to be very cautious when I apply my data and information to other parts of the world. And it's like usually we do it at the limitation of the study when it is only localized to one part of the world. Okay, this number. Number two, that when we are collaborating with other parts of the world, it gives us a chance for exchanging the expertise. And some of the countries may have some potency and strength in a specific board. For example, a specific lab test is done, for example, in USA, but it's not done here. Or we have done specific management in Bahrain that is not available in other parts of the world. This, when we integrate both together, will have a more powerful effect and more real world data that can be applied for the different parts of the world. And this is very important in research and science.
Wonderful. And if families had to take away one key message, and I understand this is a massive ask because it's a huge review, but if they had to take away one key message from the review about the future of autism care and treatment, what message would you want them to take away?
Yeah, I will give a message of cautious optimism, which means that we started the way, but still have long way to walk, which means that currently we have a lot of personalized medication that can be applied, but still we need a lot of work and research. So already the way started, but we need a lot of time to reach consolidated data for the different type of the disease. One more message I want, not from my review, but as a physician and actually as a human, that I want to tell every family who have a child with autism, you are not alone. We are all together helping you, supporting you, not me as a person, but I think all the community of Bahrain are doing that, supporting the families and in their journey to achieve some security for their kids and to reach the safe zone with their kids. As our Prophet Muhammad say that Al-Jannatu tahta aqdami al-ummahat. I'm imagining the paradise is under the feet of the mother. I'm imagining what are under the feet of the mother who have children who have a special needs, like children with autism. I think it is the paradise. Not only the paradise, it is the Firdaus, which is the highest rank of paradise, is under their feet. They are a real hero, and I respect what they are doing and the effort that they are doing for their kids, and really they are doing amazing work. I'm really happy when I meet a mother who have a child with autism. I feel like I'm in fronting a hero, real hero. And really, they are a real hero. And just I want to say for them, thank you for every effort you are doing for your kids. We are in your back, we are supporting you, we are appreciating what are you doing. And the most important, that God also is appreciating what you are doing. And inshallah, you have the best appreciation in the afterlife.
Wonderful. I'd like to thank you so much for your time. This has been a very illuminating discussion, and I'd like to congratulate you. This review has been so educational, and being able to discuss such a interesting and incredibly important topic with yourself today has been a pleasure. Thank you so much again.
Thank you, Khalid, very much. Thank you for letting me to be among you and to share some of the experience with you and with your audience. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Doctor.
Shukran jazilan.
Ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned. We have even more coming up here on Bahrain Now. This brings us to the end of the episode. We'd like to thank you all for watching, and as always, be sure to reach out to us on our social media accounts shown below. We love to hear from you. Until then, this was Khalid Hidris. Good night, and God bless.